making this video to address the matter that I have no association nor agreement with any religious group / denominations, especially the denominations of the quote-unquote black Hebrew Israelite camps either, because of the many-fold devices of the adversary. They come short of doing and instructing the written and spoken as well as expressed word of Yahweh Elohim. So many of these groups out here, they have different titles, especially those camps, those Hebrew camps. Both mainstream religion as well as all these other branch offs here, such as the Hebrew camps, they do have still some of the people who belong to the Most High. And these people have to come out from among them. They souls have to come out from out of her. That religious system that links all the way back to the Roman Catholic Church system, especially all the way back onto the network that's owned by the adversary and their demons that follow them. Also, reading from the book itself, it shows right there in the scriptures that Yahweh Elohim did not give any of his people a quote-unquote religion. He gave them instruction, even the days past with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, especially the type that was shown before when Adam had joined Eve in sin, as is shown, and they both had the animal sacrificed and the pelts made to cover them, the skins to cover them. And even from there too, they knew how to butcher animals and prepare them and offer them up as a sacrifice unto Yahweh. Even as it was taught to Abel, who was slain by Cain, and then Seth came forth in the generations following from there, and since then unto the days of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and so forth, those who take up the covenant with the Most High, Yahweh Elohim, to serve him and do what's right in his sight. And even now, after the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua HaMashiach, and after the persecution of the 12 disciples, as well as the group of believers who were with them at the time, here and there, some of them were executed, persecuted, and scattered to be hidden and not disclosed to the history records in full. So what is known about them is kept back especially by the Catholic Church. And now, even since the revival that started decades ago and has been picking up, not just the Welch's revival, but other revivals before that one too, as well as the recent ones too. Sure, there are people who have been in different denominations and have been born again of the YHWH and operated in the power given to them to cast out demons in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ, to lay hands and pray for the sick so that they be healed, as well as the workings of the gifts and the miracles following as well too, and the signs. And to not forget too is to help others be water baptized and receive the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh, so that they too can also be born again. And since then, over time, as those who learn of the faith, as well as enter into the faith to take up the covenant that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob made with Yahweh Elohim. First they did that which was natural. Now this is spiritual through water baptism and the baptism of fire, so that they be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. And over time here as it is, people have learned a little here, a little there, progressively, the more so about the faith. And so, as they grow to learn what is legitimate and what is error, heresy, false doctrine, and contrary to the word of Yahweh, they have to stick with the truth, even where there are growing pains involved. So they have to leave these different denominations, from the Catholic Church to its different denominations, to leave Christianity, especially to leave all these other branch off religions, such as Islam, Buddhism, and all forms of religion made out there that were handmade by men but inspired by fallen angels. The angels that rebelled and were kicked out with Hasatan. So Hasatan and the angels with him that rebelled did not want to amend their ways, so they counterfeited the Most High as much as they could. That's why with those who go by the English language, who are born again in Jesus Christ, added into the body of Jesus Christ, Hasatan, the devil, made a counterfeit by introducing quote unquote Christianity onto the road through the Catholic system and making mass religion to where they can care less if someone's born again or not, as long as they can keep people in sin, especially to make them commit sin, iniquity, and transgression, even going so far as to get them to invite demons into themselves to be filled up and to walk after the manner of darkness that they don't know that they do of, to transgress against the Most High Himself, against Yahweh. And so when they do these things, they don't know that they're walking in wickedness in this sight. And they go there to those temples and those gatherings, not knowing that they're still in sin, iniquity and transgression against them. And it's only by the favor, the revelation, and the intercession of Yahweh that they are woken up, dealt with, and put out that deception. Even those who are learning that they are physical Israelites from the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of Jacob. There's those who are learning about their natural born heritage first and foremost at some point. In the progress, they may get involved in these quote unquote black Hebrew Israelite camps. And when they do so, they're expecting to be taught the faith, what it is to live in the faith. Where some of them have tried everything to keep people walking in the flesh, but not born again as the Ruach HaKodesh. So as a result, they're trying to keep the law first, and mostly the law itself alone, but they struggle and fail and come short of doing so because they do the same manner as the people who refused to be born again, who refused water baptism, as well as the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh, with fire. And let's not forget those two who also went astray from the faith as well too, who did not keep the charge, that did not keep the faith. So those who walk after the flesh and trying to keep the law after the mind, the instruction, the behavior, thought process, and attitude of the flesh, instead of being led, inspired, and moved by the Ruach HaKodesh, so that they may walk in the benefits of Deuteronomy 28 and choose what is pleasing in the sight of the Father. From there, they can keep the law and do it without struggle, as many has on such a level, and prosper in doing so without having to depend on the instructions passed down from man as traditions, as well as their commandments that were inspired by the flesh, including those that were inspired by demons. So those who are in those camps as well too, when they are being dealt with and reached by the Ruach HaKodesh, then they can pull away from that environment that is not suitable and seek in prayer, ask, search, knock, and find out where do they need to be at, with who and how and so forth, so that they can authentically walk in the faith with other like-minded believers. So instead of being stuck in a temple or in a group that's going to go out there and sport themselves, especially those who are going to be at conventions, as well as some buildings similar to temples, and run around in crowds doing things that's not going to glorify the Father who's in the Shemayim, the heaven. And when they realize and learn and are added into the body, then from there, they can focus the more so on what the Word is showing and revealing, as well as what is given to them from the Ruach HaKodesh, and pray for what they need. So that's as they go without the counterfeits and all these branch-offs that are still part of the system that is against Yahweh Elohim and is seeking to resist his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, who's going to return, that they can be pleasing in the sight of the Father, so that this congregation that has been long awaited for and to be brought forth may be thoroughly known and manifested in the earth, the children of the King, the children of light, his light, the candles, the lanterns, the lamps that are lit and are bright by his light. So all these different groups out here, as it is personally speaking, they are falling, failing, and collapsing, and being judged as well too. And those who are still his have to come out from among them and be separate from that system, so they do not become partakers of their judgments, including the severe ones that are just waiting to manifest and come forth. Especially those who are leaders of congregations as well as groups. They have to be willing and prepared and ready to lose people who just want to be stuck in a form of fashion, who want to live after the manner of the world, after the instructions, repetition, and curriculum and conditioning of this temporary world, instead of having self-autonomy, revelation, and inspiration by the Ruach HaKodesh. So those out there too, who are like-minded believers, who are in position, there are plenty of people out there who are and is ready to be gathered and connected and associated with the proper people who are of like faith, and where they are short in, that they may be informed and to cooperate in person, to communicate, so that they can both go on to perfection and those who believe progressively continue until we come into the knowledge of the faith, of the belief through Yeshua HaMashiach.